Hey, welcome everyone to the Faith and Entrepreneurship Podcast. I'm Devin Dickinson with Lauren today, and we're excited to jump right into it. This is kind of one of those podcasts today that we're going to focus on, people that are just kind of right there, right? Like kind of getting ready to make that leap. So if this is you, pay special attention.
Hey, Devin, how are you doing today?
Great, thanks.
Good. So this podcast, like you said, it's dedicated to our listeners who are wanting to get into business, feel that they are ready to take the jump into entrepreneurship. And I want to start off with just a simple question. What advice would you give them?
First off, I love working with new entrepreneurs. I think it's so fun. It gives me flashbacks, to when I first started. And this is an exciting, scary time for people, right? And a lot of people get right there, but they come to me and say, Devin, I think I'm ready. What do you think? And, they want to hear these magic words, and they want some super cool abracadabra advice that's going to give them instant success. And typically I focus on three things. When they get ready and they're like, hey, I've got an idea. I think I want to do this. What do you think? I actually don't focus necessarily so much on what their idea is, but I focus on the three things that I think, principles that I think people need to kind of make sure and do is this self-evaluation. And the first is, and it's going to sound boring, not exciting, but this is kind of like this hard way, kind of no nonsense approach. My first is, Lauren, I tell them to look at their personal finances. And, everyone, you can see they're all excited, and then they're like, oh, that's boring advice. Yeah. Right now you're like, oh, this is boring advice. But this is true, right? If you today are thinking about going and making this huge decision of starting a company, you basically are starting a whole nother area of your life and perhaps other people's life, perhaps other people's finances, other people's livelihood that you are now responsible for. And so if you can't manage your own personal finances and take care of yourself and your family or whomever that you're currently responsible for, why are you going to double your responsibility financially, right? And a lot of times people go, oh, well, Devin, you don't get it, right? The reason I'm doing this is because if I start this business, it's going to solve all my financial woes. My personal financial woes are going to go away because this business is going to be so remarkable, so amazing that I'm going to solve all my personal finances. And I laugh out loud because it's that's not how it works. Yeah. And anyone that told you that, you're watching too much TikTok, right? You're watching too much, people with, Rolexes that are 22 years old standing in front of jets that they, somehow snuck onto an airfield and are filming something starting a business is not going to solve your personal financial woes. What you need to do is you need to take time and reflect upon your personal finances. Simple things. If you can't pay your bills on time, don't start a business. Period. That's a hard no. Stop. Don't do it, right? If you're crazy in debt, don't start a business, right? If you don't understand how you make this much money but you're still broke every month, don't start a business, right? These are some the principles, right? So first and foremost, get into your personal finances. Make sure that you pay your bills. Make sure that you don't have a bunch of debt, and make sure at the end of the day you've got a little bit of savings, and that at the end of the month you spend less than you make. If you do those basic things, you can now consider starting a business.
Okay, what's next? What's your next piece of advice?
My next one's going to be kind of boring too, warning people right now, but it's that they have to have a business plan. And people go, oh yeah, I have a business plan. It's right up here, right in the old noggin. It's a good one. You're going to love this, Devin. And then they start telling me about how cool their product is. And I'm like, that's not a freaking business plan. A business plan is, show me how much money you're going to make. Show me how you're going to sell that, right? By month, how much money you're going to sell, how much revenue you're going to get by month. Show me the expenses you're going to have per month. Show me the cost of goods against those products. And then show me how much money is left over month by month by month by month. And put something together that goes out about 2 years, about 24 months. Because in my personal opinion, in my personal experience, all the people that I mentored, all the, consulting that I've done over the years, and all the businesses that I've owned, I have rarely seen a business that becomes cash flow positive in under 2 years, right? Mm-hmm. So put together a 2-year business plan that literally has as much data, and proof points. Like, why do you think you can sell this much in product after 2 years, this much in service after 90 days, this much after 6 months? Like, what's your rationale behind the business plan? Mm-hmm. And put real thought, time, and effort into this. And people are like, again, they're like, no, I have, because I think about it when, I'm out with my buddies and I have a beer, and I'm like, no, that's not planning, right? Yeah. Like, this is like, the Bible talks all the time about how important it is that we're, financially prudent, right? Mm-hmm. The first part, but also to have a plan, right? Like to think that like you're just going to wake up and have an idea is not a plan, mm-hmm. right? An idea is not a plan. I want people to get that in their head, because having a great idea does not mean you have a great business, mm-hmm. and it certainly is not a business plan. And so I would really challenge people to put a lot of time, thought, and effort into that. Because that is your roadmap. You would not go, the Bible talks about you're not going to go start a building if you don't have a plan, right? Like you're going to look like a fool. And that's what happens. People look like a fool. And you find a lot of people that are very charismatic and very dynamic and explain a really neat product, a really neat idea, a really neat service. And people will get excited, and they'll get their mom to invest. They'll go and they'll talk to their spouse, and they'll take out their life savings. They'll cash out their 401k. They'll leverage their house over an idea. Mm-hmm. And that's such a scary place to be, Lauren. I have met with, and I'm passionate about this, people. I hope you can get this. I'm passionate about this because I've seen this ruin people's lives, mm-hmm. right? And so the Bible talks like you're a fool if you don't count the cost of what you're about to do. And I'm going to say you're a fool if you don't put together a business plan. It's irresponsible.
Mm-hmm. Okay, what's next?
This one is a mindset.
Okay.
So the first two we talked about are kind of very pragmatic, get your finances together. The second one is put together a business plan. These are very pragmatic, like I can do this.
You either get them done or you're not. You
exactly.
can check them off your list.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
These are, you check off the list. This is a self-reflection. And this is one of like a trait that I think really great entrepreneurs have. And it's the ability to make decisive, quick decisions around change, mm-hmm. and also to have a positive mindset in that.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Explain more.
Yeah.
I think I know where you're going with it, but I want to hear more.
So what happens when you put together a business plan, right? Again, it's a roadmap, mm-hmm. right? Think about it like I love sports, right? It's like your kind of pre-game plan, right? Of mm-hmm. how you're going to run the what your objective is, right?
Yeah.
Well, like Mike Tyson says, is everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face,
yes,
right?
Yeah.
Everyone has a business plan until all of a sudden, you got no sales. And so when you have this business plan, you're going to go and execute against the plan, and you're going to find that things change mm-hmm. according to what your plan is. And that's fine, right? But people struggle with making quick, decisive decisions and changing, mm-hmm. right? Believe it or not, people have a hard time making decisions. And sometimes even when they know the right answer, they don't want to do it. Like mm-hmm. I met yesterday morning, a guy that I mentor, love this guy. He is a super shrewd entrepreneur. He's been doing business as long as I have. I call it mentor, but really at the end of the day, we just kind of share life, yeah. right? He tells me stories, I tell him stories, and we learn from each other.
Yeah.
But he was telling me this story yesterday, and I'm like, and I could tell at the end of the day, the reason why he really wanted to meet is because he wanted me to tell him, dude, you got to do this, right? Mm-hmm. But he's known what the right decision is for over a year, probably mm-hmm. a couple years. He's known what the right decision is, but he needed me to kind of push him over the edge. And he's a great entrepreneur, right? So if you're someone that struggles with making hard decisions quickly, especially if you're in that first 2-year process, you're gonna struggle as an entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. Luckily, this guy's been doing it for 20 some years. He can afford to make mistakes. Yeah. He can afford to kind of slow play bad decisions, right? But in the beginning, you got to be decisive. You got to be quick. You got to make decisions, and you got to be willing to change. And when you do this, there are people that have a negative mindset. Remember I said that's the other part of this? They have this negative mindset, and it makes them want to quit. Or it makes them believe that the sky is falling.
Yeah.
You know, oh, we lost this customer. The economy's not right. The interest rates aren't right. Blah, blah, blah. Like there's always going to be something wrong. And so you have this negative mindset. And so you don't find ways to grow. You don't realize that with every change, with every obstacle, with every hurdle, with every loss, there's this opportunity behind it. And in my life, almost all of our great, evolutions in our business have come from change. And they've come from things that maybe didn't go according to plan. Maybe we're kind of roadblocks where we're lost. And, I love the sports analogies because I'm a coach. And I've shared this before, like, I hate losing. I love winning, but I hate losing way more than I love winning. And but I would tell you this, and every great coach, every great player knows this, that you find way more and you become a way better team in the losses than you ever do in the victories, because it forces you to evaluate your weaknesses. And in business, it's the same way. And so if you're someone that's like, you see a defeat as like, oh, we lost, we lost this game, so the rest of the year goes to crap, right?
Yeah.
Like, you're not a great coach. You're not a great leader, right? If you see a defeat as an opportunity, you're going to be a great coach, a great player. And that's the same in business, right? So you have to be willing to make changes quick, but find the opportunities and the positivity, even when things don't go according to plan. Because being an entrepreneur is rough. Like, it's a lonely place.
Yeah.
And if you have this negative predisposition, it's like you're going to see every storm that you're just going to see it like it's going to sink the ship, instead of, hey, here's a storm, let's get the sails up, let's get the wind behind it, right? Like, it's just perspective. And I think this is it's an intangible, but it's really important to know thyself, right? And as an entrepreneur, you have to know thyself.
Going back, I actually want to ask you a question about when you say change quickly. What does that mean? Let's say in the perspective of your new entrepreneur and you're 24 months into your business plan, is there a time frame you would say you want to give something a chance to work, or is that even something you can?
Lauren, I love that. That's a great question. So you have this 24-month time plan or business plan, and let's say things aren't working according to plan, right? So the thing is, when you have a business plan and things aren't working according to plan, you can adjust your business plan and go, okay, this is working. It's just going to take me 36 months to be cash flow positive as opposed to 24, right? And it's like, so you can make the adjustment, right? And also decide, is the juice worth the squeeze, right? Because if it takes me another 12 months of losing money, how much money am I going to lose versus what's the ultimate upside? Maybe there is an ultimate upside, but maybe the upside isn't worth the loss or the time, or, And so I think having that business plan, you can take that reality, plug it back into that, and make decisions according to it. And so, like, within that, like, the time frames become less relevant. So to me, Lauren, it's not necessarily about how long do you give an idea to evolve. It's as you evolve your business plan to the realities, is the juice worth the squeeze? And I think a lot of times people suffer from that. They get what I call ostrich syndrome,
hiding your head in the sand.
Exactly. People know, they're like, ugh, I don't like the way these numbers look, so I'm not going to look at the numbers. I'm going to stick my head in the sand. And so I think, but for me, I've always said, when you know, you know. There's a phrase in business that I tell my managers and leaders all the time. And it's, that which needs done eventually needs done immediately. So when you say to yourself, oh, you know what? I'm going to need to do this eventually. Nope. Stop right there. Eat the frog. do it today, right? Like this is incredibly important. And people struggle with this. They really do. The reason why you say eventually is because you want to procrastinate on it.
Yeah.
You hope that it's going to solve itself. The problem doesn't solve itself. And so it's less around the time frames and more around when you know. And then you have to have the courage to do it. So I had this scenario one time where my managers all got together, and we were a pretty big company at this time. We were all in the room. Like it was a board. There's probably like 12 of us. So like around a board meeting type table, right? And we went through, and everyone's like, yeah, this project isn't working. And, I kind of was like, all right, like I'm doing the math in my head, I'm up on the whiteboard, and I go, okay, well, this thing's costing us about $1,500 a day, which wasn't a huge deal considering the size of company we were. We were really big, right? So everyone's like, it's costing us $1,500 a day. You know what? Today's the 17th of the month. You know what? On the 1st of the month, let's kill it. We'll kill it on the 1st of the month. So I was like, doing the math in my head, I'm like $1,500 a day times, and it was going to be like another 10 business days or something. I'm like, so that was $15,000. And I was like, no, guys, I'm like, we're killing it at lunch. Like, and they're like, well, yeah, but like, it's better if we do it at the beginning of the month or at the end of the month. So like we start the month and everybody's numbers match. I said, I don't freaking care about numbers matching. I don't freaking care. Like it's $15,000 in cold hard green cash. Like we're acting like the federal government here. Like, like come on, pull your heads out of our butts. Like we're not even waiting till tomorrow, because if we can kill this at lunch today, we save $750, right? Like, so I'm like, guys, like we have to be willing to have the courage to change and put the effort in behind it. And they were all like, yeah, you're right, D. And then we kind of just did it, right? And it was like, we all knew the right answer, do it. And people struggle with this again. And so, these first two things I said are very pragmatic. Like you can change, you can kind of go and tactically make these, you can get your finances in order, right? Get some discipline. You can put together a business plan. It just takes a little bit of time. But the third part that we talked about here, this kind of ability to change quickly, make decisive decisions, and find the positivity in it. Like I said, a lot of people would have walked out of that meeting going, oh, this sucks. We had to shut down a program. I walked out of the meeting going, great. We found a problem. We fixed it. We solved it. And now we're saving $1,500 and we'll go invest that somewhere else. Right. Like I walked out in a great mood, but a lot of people will walk out and go, oh, we're defeated. And like, no, that just didn't work. Change and go and find the next thing. Now we're going to invest that money elsewhere. And so I think you have to understand, and again, know thyself, right? If this is something you struggle with, you're going to struggle as an entrepreneur. In my opinion, you will struggle as an entrepreneur. And so I think really the reflection is needed, right? Like, and I've seen people that, are very good at the first two things and other things about being a good operator and stuff, but they really struggle with that decisiveness, and they really struggle with finding the positivity. And they've hindered their ability to grow as an entrepreneur, but they've also kind of, they've hurt themselves a little bit, right? Like it kind of makes them down on themselves, and they get discouraged and stuff. And it's like, I really feel like maybe they need to choose, like, maybe this isn't for me. Maybe this path isn't the right path for me.
So to recap, 3 things. Personal finances need to be in order. Need to have a business plan laid out, not mental business plan, an actual written pen to paper business plan.
Month by month. Up to about 24 months.
And then you need to be able to change quickly and find the positive in those changes.
Absolutely. Yeah, the decisiveness thing is so important as an entrepreneur. And, if you're listening to this right now, and I would really encourage you, so to think through those 3 things again. Those first 2 things you can get in order, right? But really reflect upon that last one. And if you're someone that struggles with that and go, oh, that doesn't sound like me. That doesn't sound like what I would enjoy. And that doesn't sound like my approach to life. That is not a negative, right? The reason why people ask me like, hey, what do you think? And I give them this advice isn't to discourage them. It's to help them make the right path for them, choose the right path for them. And so entrepreneurialism isn't for everybody. You know, and I think a lot of times people get down on themselves because they're like, well, I don't have that kind of entrepreneurial spirit. I don't have that kind of view on life and that positivity and that ability to make quick decisions. And they think that's a negative. I'm like, no, but you have these other gifts that are incredible, right? Lean into those other gifts. Don't get discouraged. It's just literally, this might not be the right path for you. And so that's great to have that decision, right?
Yeah.
That's the positivity in that decision. So I would tell people to really dig into this, right? And if you're struggling with this, maybe ask people around you, like, hey, what do you think about my personal finances? Like, do you think I'm, shrewd? Do you think I make good decisions? Show them their business plan, right? And then lastly, ask them like, hey, do you think I'm someone who can make hard decisions? I can deal with conflict. I can take negative, I can take losses and turn them into wins, or does that kind of stuff get me down? And really dig into that, because you're about to make a huge decision, not just for you, but potentially for your family, if you have a family, and also all those people who may eventually be working for you or clients of yours or whatnot, right? There's a lot of people that begin to rely on you once you become an entrepreneur, that you have to make sure that you're going to be the right kind of entrepreneur, right? Because it can be a heavy burden to bear, but it can also be an incredible joy. So this podcast is not designed to discourage you, because I know people are like, I should, you sound like my mom, you sound like my dad, right? Not trying to do that, but it's designed to ask you the hard questions so that you can make great decisions for your life. I'm Devin Dickinson, and this is Faith in Entrepreneurship, and I hope this podcast really helps you.